Candlelight dances upon ancient marble halls. Golden tapestries shimmer like trapped sunlight. Rome's heart beats beneath a veil of silence. Whispers slither through corridors of power. Tonight, a Borgia bride awaits her fate. Nobles arrive draped in jeweled arrogance. Perfume mingles with incense and intrigue. Musicians play, but every note trembles. Each glance carries secrets sharp as daggers. Behind fans and laughter, suspicion festers quietly. The Pope's daughter, beauty, curse, and rumor. Her name alone stirs Scandalous, or Lucrezia Borgia, child of ambition's sin. Her smile conceals the Vatican's darkest designs. Tonight, she marries not for love, power. Behind silk curtains, desire becomes diplomacy's weapon. Alliances are written in flesh and promise. Wine flows like temptation's red confession. Every toast hides a whispered betrayal beneath. Rome watches, pretending not to see. Candles melt as hours blur into scandal. A priest blesses what sin already claimed. Vows are spoken, but eyes betray truth. Hands tremble, not from love, but dread. The scent of roses hides the rot beneath, and when the doors close to the night, whispers grow louder than the music itself. 3 unions will seal this cursed affair. Each more sinful, more desperate, more divine. The night will not end. It will echo. History will remember the laughter, the lies, the marriage that bound flesh, faith, and fear. And in the heart of Rome's corruption, one woman will rise above her ruin. Lucrezia, born of sin, crowned by scandal. From Spain's burning plains, ambition was born. The Borgias, a name carved in desire. Their prayers were whispered through golden greed. Faith bowed before their rising power. Rome would soon tremble at their presence. Rodrigo Borgia led their ruthless ascent, a man both holy and hungry for control. He smiled like mercy, plotted like Lucifer. The Vatican became his hunting ground of sin. He sought heaven's throne through earthly deceit. They came not to serve, but to rule. Where saints prayed, the Borgias schemed. Every vow they made hid corruption beneath. Every alliance they touched turned to scandal. They mastered charm, others mastered war. Spain gave them pride, Rome gave them power. They learned holiness was a mask of strategy. Gold opened more doors than prayers could. Their faith was forged in manipulation's fire. They built kingdoms from silence and sin. Rodrigo's blood ran thick with ambition. He fathered children as extensions of will. Cesare, his sword. Lucrezia, his smile. Together, they became Rome's unholy trinity. Each move they made shook Italy's heart. The Borgias' rise was written in whispers. Their name spread like perfume and poison. Every feast, a deal. Every kiss, betrayal. Even God's house could not silence them. They ruled through beauty, fear, and faith. From Valencia's dust to Rome's marble light. They carried Spain's hunger across oceans. Their story, a hymn of sin and glory. Power was their gospel, love, their illusion, and destiny, their only true confession. Power wears many faces, his wore holiness. Rodrigo Borgia became Pope Alexander VI. He ruled the church like a personal empire. His throne was marble, his heart, ambition. He prayed in Latin but thought in gold. He understood people better than any priest. Their faith could be bought, their loyalty sold. Every soul had a price, every vow a purpose. And he, the master, set all prices high. Rome's salvation now came with a signature. Politics was his art of divine control. He moved kings like pieces on parchment maps. Every alliance was a transaction, not trust. Every treaty signed in blood and betrayal. His words were blessings, edged like blades. Marriage became his greatest weapon of rule. He joined houses with vows and poison. His children were pawns on a sacred board. Lucrezia's beauty, a coin in his kingdom. Caesar's sword, the hand enforcing obedience. He wove families together, then tore them apart. Each bond he made served only one name, Borgia. He turned weddings into ceremonies of conquest. He made love the disguise of domination. Every kiss sealed another throne's submission. No rival could match his calculated grace. He forgave with one hand, destroyed with the other. His mercy was strategy, his anger, divine. Even the most holy bowed before his cunning. The church became politics dressed as faith. He crowned his sons through sin and fear. He married his daughter to reshape nations. Where prayers ended, his schemes began. He built kingdoms with whispers, not swords, and ruled men's hearts through lust and loyalty. Pope Alexander, sinner, father, and kingmaker. He rewrote Rome's laws with a single smile. Even God, it seemed, looked the other way. For power this flawless resembled divinity itself. Unroamed hypnotized, called his rule a blessing. Whispers traveled faster than truth in Rome. And in the Borgia household, whispers became legend. Every candlelit chamber carried secrets. Every smile hinted at something forbidden. And every prayer begged forgiveness for what no one dared name. They said the Pope's children were closer than blood allowed. That behind jeweled curtains, purity was a mask. Lucrezia, radiant, untouchable, desired by all, yet her name lingered in rumors of sin. Whispers claimed her father's love was more than paternal, and her brother's gaze lingered too long. Poison, too, became part of their vocabulary. At Borgia banquets, wine glistened like temptation itself. Guests toasted to friendship and never woke again. Silver cups became weapons, and Lucrezia's gentle hands were said to stir the fatal mix. True or not, her innocence was buried beneath fear. Manipulation wrapped around every move they made. Promises, alliances, betrayals, all tangled together. Lucrezia was both pawn and queen. Her beauty was her brother's strategy, her father's weapon. She smiled through tears, knowing charm could save or kill. Even her kindness became political current. The streets of Rome echoed with both fascination and disgust. Some adored her, others prayed against her. But everyone spoke her name, and in an age when silence meant safety. The Borgias thrived in the noise of scandal. From the moment she was born, Lucrezia was not a daughter. She was strategy. Her golden hair and angelic smile concealed a dynasty's ambition. Every gesture she made was watched, measured, planned. And every vow she took was written in politics, not love. Her father, Pope Alexander VI, saw alliances as his true sacraments. He did not bless marriages, he orchestrated them. Lucrezia's hand was his signature upon Italy's fate. When peace trembled, he offered her as its price. When power slipped, he married her into new control. Each wedding was a treaty wrapped in silk and lace. Her first husband brought the Borgias closer to Milan. Her second tied them to Naples. Her third, the most scandalous, would forever stain her name. But through them all, Lucrezia smiled like a saint. Behind her eyes, though, something burned, a brilliance too sharp for obedience. She learned to play their game better than they knew. She turned flattery into armor, and charm into defiance. Her silence became her sharpest blade. In the halls of power, she walked like a vision. Men adored her, women envied her, and every ruler feared the whispers surrounding her name. They thought her innocent, but she was awake. Awake to how beauty could rule kingdoms, awake to how sin could secure survival. The daughter of a pope, the sister of a prince, Lucrezia was neither pawn nor prize. She was the player, the family's secret weapon, wrapped in gold, veiled in grace, and by the time Rome realized it, the girl they had pitied had already learned to command empires. In Renaissance Rome, even affection had a price. The Borgias did not love, they negotiated. Every embrace carried a motive, a calculation, a cost. Their hearts beat in rhythm with ambition. Desire was not sign, it was strategy. Lucrezia understood this better than anyone. She saw how love could crown or destroy. Her father's blessings came with hidden debts. Her brother's protection felt more like possession. And passion, the purest of emotions, became weaponized. The family's dinners were feasts of decadence and deceit. Wine spilled like blood, laughter hid in tension. Men who kissed their hands by night might face their daggers by morning. Every smile was both invitation and warning. The line between love and lust dissolved slowly. They ruled through seduction as much as fear. The church preached purity, they practiced power. Confession was their stage, forgiveness their illusion. And behind closed doors, Rome's holiest family sinned boldly. Lucrezia, trapped and treasured, began to transform. She learned that control often wore desire's face. Her gaze could silence rivals, her tears could win wars. She was adored, feared, and endlessly misunderstood. In her reflection, purity and danger became one. To outsiders, they were devils in silk robes. To themselves, they were visionaries building an empire. And somewhere between their sins and sanctity, they created a legacy that would never die. The Borgias blurred every line and made history remember it. She entered the world beneath Vatican ceilings, a child of privilege, wrapped in divine sin. Gold cradles, silken gowns, and whispered prayers surrounded her. But her father's name, Alexander Borgia, defined her fate. From her first breath, she belonged to power. In Rome's palaces, she was a symbol, not a daughter. Every gesture rehearsed, every smile observed. Priests blessed her innocence, courtiers admired her beauty. But no one asked what she desired, because in a family of predators, desire was weakness. Her father ruled not just with faith, but fear. He called himself the vicar of Christ, yet played politics like a seasoned general. Lucrezia's purity became his perfect disguise. Through her, he softened the Borgia name. She was taught diplomacy before she learned devotion, taught silence before she learned prayer. The palace walls became both her sanctuary and her cage, and behind every painted fresco of saints, a young girl watched and learned. As she grew, so did her father's ambitions. He saw in her a bridge to kingdoms, a vessel through which power could flow. Lucrezia was light in a world of shadows, and yet she would never escape their reach. Before she knew the meaning of love, Lucrezia learned the price of loyalty. At 13, her name was inked on treaties. Her beauty became the language of negotiation, and her youth, the currency of power. Her father smiled as if gifting her destiny. But behind his blessing hid cold calculation. Each marriage he arranged was not for her heart, but for the Vatican's reach across Italy's thrones. Lucrezia's dowry was written in ambitions, not gold. Her first husband, Giovanni Sforza of Milan, was chosen to strengthen the Pope's northern ties. Rome celebrated their union with lavish deceit. Candles, choirs, and poisoned intentions intertwined. But the marriage was hollow from the start. Sforza soon realized he was a pawn, not a partner. The Borgias controlled his life, his fate, his pride. And when he no longer served their purpose, Lucrezia's father declared the marriage never consummated. The church that bound them now erased their bond. For the young bride, humiliation became her dowry. She was paraded as pure, discarded as useless. But in her silence, something hardened, resolve. She began to understand the family's true religion. Power first, mercy never. She smiled before the public, serene as a saint. Yet behind closed doors, she counted her lessons. Love was temporary, power was eternal. And she, a girl in silks and sorrow, would one day master both. The first marriage ended with a whisper, the second with a scream. Rome had barely forgotten the humiliation of annulment when the Borgias announced another union. This time, Lucrezia would marry Alfonso of Aragon, a prince of Naples, young, handsome, and unsuspecting. For a brief moment, her smile seemed real. The city saw hope in her golden eyes. Even Lucrezia dared to believe in peace. But in the Borgia world, Peace was poison. And happiness, a threat to control. Her brother, Cesare, watched with jealous calculation. He saw Alfonso not as brother-in-law, but obstacle. Rumors spread that Lucrezia loved her deeply, that her husband's affection made Cesare uneasy. In the Vatican halls, whispers turned to plans. One summer night, the prince was attacked. Knives in the dark, shadows on the stairs. He survived the first strike, barely breathing. Lucrezia tended him in secret, praying for mercy. But mercy was not a Borgia virtue. Weeks later, as Rome slept, Cesare returned. This time with no hesitation, no forgiveness. Alfonso's cries echoed once. Then silence claimed him. By dawn, Lucrezia was both widow and legend. The church held mass, but no one believed it. They said she wept, truly wept, over his body. They said she fainted from grief or guilt. No one knew which tears were real anymore. In her sorrow, Rome saw something terrifying. A woman shaped by loss and sharpened by power. To marriages, 2 graves, countless rumors. Lucrezia had played her part too well, and as the bells of St. Peter's tolled, one truth became clear to all of Italy. The Borgia daughter was no longer innocent. After Alfonso's death, silence followed Lucrezia everywhere. Not peace, but suspicion. The Vatican's marble halls carried her name like smoke. Every servant, every priest, every noble whispered it. And in those whispers, her innocence burned away. They said she knew too much of secrets, too much of poisons, letters, and disappearances. Too much of her father's darker negotiations. She had seen too many men rise and vanish. Too many alliances sealed in bedrooms, not chapels. Some said she was her father's spy, others her brother's accomplice. And some, in the shadows of confessionals, dared to call her his sin-made flesh. Even the walls seemed to listen when she spoke. At courts, men smiled too carefully around her. Women curtsied, then crossed themselves afterward. Her beauty had become a warning, her presence an omen of danger and desire. Rome loved her stories more than her truth. Lucrezia wore the rumors like jewelry. Each lie, each scandal, another piece of armor. She had been used, yes, but now she used others. Knowledge became her weapon, silence her shield. And beneath her calm, a quiet vengeance bloomed. They underestimated her, as men often did. They saw a puppet, not the puppeteer. But Lucrezia understood the Borgia creed by heart. If you cannot be pure, be powerful. If they fear you, they cannot control you. By now, Rome no longer saw a girl. They saw a legend dressed in gold. The whispers had given her a crown, and her name, Lucrezia Borgia, became prophecy. The church feared her. The poets adored her. Every glance she cast was dangerous. Every movement, a rumor waiting to be born. She no longer denied her family's shadow. She learned to dance within it gracefully. She was no longer hiding from sin. She was redefining it. Courtiers called her the Borgia siren. They said her voice could melt suspicion, her beauty could silence confession, and her presence, half saint, half seductress, was proof that power could wear a smile. Her father arranged her third marriage carefully. This one had to outshine the past, to cleanse the scandals, to secure the dynasty. Her groom, Alfonso d'Este Ferrara, a duke, noble, cautious, but curious of her allure. When she entered Ferrara, the bells rang differently. Some called it redemption, others, damnation in silk. She carried her past like perfume, faint, lingering. And with every step, the city held its breath. Because no one marries a Borgia without consequence. She was no longer a pawn, nor a prize. She had become the game itself. And on the night of her third wedding, Rome would whisper once more, in awe, in fear, in desire. The Borgia siren had returned to rule. Italy in 1502 was not a nation. It was a battlefield made of crowns. From Venice to Naples, power shifted daily. Kings prayed, dukes plotted, and Rome watched. Every city was both a jewel and a threat. Florence danced under Medici brilliance. Milan sharpened daggers behind painted doors. Naples whispered of betrayal in the shadows. And the Papal States, ruled by the Borgias, hungered for control. Alliances were drawn not in ink, but in blood. Faith and politics had become indistinguishable. A pope could be both priest and conqueror. A marriage could forge an empire or ignite a war. And trust, that rarest of currencies, was worth nothing. In Italy, loyalty expired faster than wine. Every feast hid a plot beneath its laughter. Every promise carried a dagger behind its words. And amidst it all, the Borgias played their game. Patient, brilliant, merciless. Their ambition wrapped in silk and sanctity. The peninsula was a chessboard of thrones, and each move could redraw history's map. Lucrezia's next marriage would not be romance. It would be strategy, spectacle, and survival combined. A union meant to control the fate of Italy itself, in the heart of Italy's shifting loyalties. One name still commanded fear, Borgia, but even fear must find a throne to rest upon. And so the Pope's gaze turned north, to Ferrara. To the ancient and noble house of Este. Ferrara was no mere duchy. It was prestige, legitimacy, and culture entwined. The Este family ruled with grace and restraint. Their courts overflowed with scholars, poets, and saints. And their bloodline was older than Borgia ambition. For Pope Alexander VI, the match was irresistible, to unite sin with sanctity, to crown his daughter among Italy's oldest nobility. It would cleanse the Vatican's scandals, or at least disguise them. Power, reborn through the illusion of purity, he sent gifts, promises, and veiled threats. Gold crossed mountains, letters crossed borders. Rome's envoys carried blessings that felt like commands. The Pope did not request, he insisted. And behind his holy authority, strategy whispered. Cesare Borgia rode north as the family's enforcer. His charm was as sharp as his blade. He met the Duke of Ferrara not as ally, but challenge. Ferrara's nobles saw danger wrapped in courtesy, yet they also saw opportunity glimmer behind it. For the Borgias, Ferrara was salvation and conquest. For Ferrara, the Borgias were both gift and curse. Between them stood Lucrezia, beautiful, intelligent, untouchable. A bridge between two worlds, built from fragile faith. And this bridge would either unite Italy, or break it forever. The Borgia name was power and poison. Feared in Rome, envied in every court. But fear alone cannot hold an empire. It must be sweetened with beauty, and bound by blood. That sweetness was Lucrezia. Her marriage to Ferrara meant more than alliance. It was the Vatican's redemption in silk and gold. If she was accepted, Rome would be reborn respectable. If she was rejected, the Borgias would stand isolated. So every detail of this union became political theatre. Letters flooded the courts of Europe. Some called it peace, others called it madness. How could Ferrara, proud and pure, marry into a house stained by sin? But peace, in Italy, was never holy, only strategic. To Pope Alexander, this marriage was absolution disguised as diplomacy. Through Lucrezia, he could cleanse his legacy. Through Ferrara, he could rewrite the story of his line. A Borgia duchess meant legitimacy, not forgiveness, but survival. It was sin, dressed as sanctity. And for Ferrara, too, the benefits were undeniable. A bond with Rome meant wealth, protection, favor. Lucrezia came not as bride, but as alliance incarnate. Behind her gentle eyes moved the ambitions of empires. Every vow she spoke would echo in politics, not prayer. When the engagement was sealed, Rome exhaled. But beneath that calm lay something volatile, for this peace was not built on trust. It was built on calculation, deception, and charm. And in Italy's game of power, such peace never lasted. Ferrara's court whispered before they even saw her. Lucretia's name carried both allure and dread. They remembered the rumors, poison, scandal, sin. Some nobles shook their heads in private fear. Could a Borgia daughter truly be trusted? The Duke consulted advisors behind carved doors. Each counselor spoke of danger wrapped in silk. They counted the cost of marrying ambition itself. Was Lucretia a bride, or a weapon? Could charm and beauty conceal a family's darkness? Courtiers murmured, gossiping in chandelier's shadows. Her father's power loomed like a storm. Every alliance she formed was rumored to hide daggers. And yet, the benefits could not be ignored. The Este family could gain influence, protection, and wealth. Even the Duke paused before agreeing. He studied portraits, letters, and courtly reports. Was she a siren, a pawn, or a queen? Every noble feared the consequences of a wrong decision. To say yes was to invite power and peril, but in the end, politics always outweighed purity. Reputation could poison, but power could redeem. Ferrara chose alliance, not caution. And thus, the marriage, though controversial, moved forward. Lucretia's destiny continued, both feared and desired. In Italy, purity was rarely considered. Power ruled over faith, love, and conscience. Even Lucretia's beauty could not escape politics. Every marriage she entered was calculated strategy. Rome's most feared dynasty would not yield. The Pope weighed alliances like coins on scales. Honor was secondary, advantage came first. Courts measured women not by virtue, but influence. And Lucretia, elegant, intelligent, and obedient, was the perfect instrument of papal ambition. Ferrara accepted the marriage, despite whispered warnings. For power outweighed fear in every negotiation. The Borgia name could open doors, but it could also close them with scandal. Lucretia's hand became a tool and a shield. Her third marriage promised legitimacy to Rome. It strengthened alliances, secured political borders, and softened criticism of a family already infamous. No purity could guarantee safety, only cunning. And the Borgias had mastered cunning better than anyone. Thus, in 1502, strategy triumphed over morality. The siren of Rome moved toward her destiny. The political chessboard had been carefully arranged, and in this dance of ambition and deceit, Lucretia stepped forward, beautiful, dangerous, unstoppable. Rome prepared like a city of dreams. Silk shimmered in every candlelit corridor. Gold lined the rooftops, catching morning sun. Banners waved as music filled the streets. Processions wound through squares, announcing the bride's glory. Citizens crowded balconies, gasping at the splendor. Horses wore silver, jewels sparkled like stars. Even the Pope's guards seemed more ceremonial than protective. Every eye turned toward Lucretia's approaching carriage. Her arrival was not a wedding, it was theater. Nobles whispered in admiration and disbelief. They had never seen such pageantry, such wealth. Every procession, every torch, every jewel was a message. This was power on display, audacious and absolute. Europe would remember Rome, and the Borgias forever. Lucretia emerged, radiant beneath the gilded canopy. Her dress, a river of silk and diamonds, flowed behind her like a sunlit storm. She smiled, serene, aware of every eye. The streets became a stage, and she its queen. Even the air seemed to shimmer with anticipation. Voices, music, and horse hooves blended into spectacle. Rome did not simply witness a marriage, it was instructed to behold a dynasty's might. And the world would not forget the sight of Lucretia. Inside the palace, candles burned like suns. Every room glimmered with gold and crystal. Musicians played as if angels conducted the orchestra. Lutes, violins, and harps echoed through vaulted halls. Even the marble seemed to hum with life. Tables groaned under dishes of exotic delicacies. Spices from the east perfumed the air. Cakes, fruits, and roasted meats dazzled the senses. Silverware gleamed, reflecting jewels of every color. No expense was spared. Luxury had no limit. Jewels adorned the bride like constellations fallen. Necklaces, rings, and tiaras sparkled with hypnotic power. Each gem whispered of the Pope's boundless wealth, and each piece reminded all who saw. The Borgias commanded more than loyalty, they commanded awe. Courtiers whispered of indulgence beyond imagination. Some admired, some feared, all were enchanted. Even the most skeptical nobles could not ignore it. Every feast was a performance, every song a declaration. The Pope celebrated not just a wedding, but domination. Lucrezia glided among the marvels, composed and radiant. Her presence united art, wealth, and ambition. Music soared, candles flickered, and gold reflected pride. And in that moment, Rome itself seemed to bow. The Borgias' power was visible, undeniable, eternal. Beneath gilded ceilings, tension simmered quietly. The luxury dazzled, but suspicion lingered. Nobles eyed plates as if they were daggers. Every dish promised delight, or deadly betrayal. Even desserts gleamed like traps of temptation. Whispers swirled like smoke through vaulted halls. Some recalled past Borgia scandals and vanishings. Could a sip of wine end your life? The rumor alone made courtiers hold breath. Fear danced alongside every feast's aroma. Lucrezia moved gracefully, unaware or unbothered. Her smile calmed eyes, but never hearts. Even the bravest wondered, was she complicit? Had her hands stirred subtle poisons tonight? Or was danger only a story told? The Pope watched from his elevated throne. A father, strategist, a master of theatre. He knew appearances could govern perception. Luxury could mask treachery. Indulgence could disguise intent. And so, fear itself became part of the spectacle. Guests balanced admiration with apprehension carefully. They toasted, smiled, and observed every gesture. Every bite was measured, every glance calculated. And while candles flickered, shadows held secrets. In Rome's grandest halls, beauty hid betrayal. Nobles approached the palace with wary eyes. They admired silk and gold, yet hesitated. Every smile was measured, every bow calculated. The grandeur impressed, but trust was absent. Even ambassadors held letters like shields. Some came for honor, others for opportunity. Some hoped to witness history, others death. Every guest suspected the feast hid more than food. Each noble considered alliances, secrets, and betrayal. The Borgias' reputation preceded them like a shadow. Whispers followed their footsteps across marble floors. Who dares sit too close to her? Who drinks first? And who watches silently? Paranoia mingled with awe at every table. Even the Duke of Ferrara felt cautious curiosity. Lucrezia greeted them with practiced elegance. Her smile soothed some, unsettled others. Beauty became diplomacy, charm became armor. She moved like a conductor of both fear and grace. And in every nod, every glance, power shifted. By nightfall, Rome's most powerful citizens understood clearly. This was no ordinary wedding, nor ordinary bride. Admiration and suspicion entwined in every breath, and every guest left changed. Aware that history had arrived in silks and shadows, the hall gleamed under flickering candlelight. Lucrezia stood radiant, poised, and untouchable. Vows were spoken, measured, and repeated. Words promised love, but power moved silently. Every syllable carried strategy, not only devotion. Guests listened, some moved, some skeptical. They watched rings exchanged and hands entwined. But behind smiles, alliances shifted like shadows. Every noble calculated, every priest observed. The true binding was not in vows spoken. The Pope watched proudly from his throne. His daughter's obedience reflected his own mastery. Every glance she gave was a signal. Every gesture reinforced the family's dominance. Marriage, in Borgia hands, became spectacle and weapon. Music swelled, feasts continued, and candles burned. Outside, Rome's streets buzzed with anticipation. Inside, Whispers told more than prayers could. Rumor, fear, and admiration danced together. Vows were only beginning. Deeds followed silently. Lucrezia moved through the ceremony like a siren. Power cloaked in silk, ambition hidden in lace. She understood her role: bride, pawn, queen. And when the night ended, all would remember. The wedding was not merely union, it was legend. The night descended over Ferrara like velvet. Candles flickered, shadows danced across gilded walls. Lucrezia's chambers awaited her, heavy with expectation. The city outside slept, unaware of history unfolding. Inside, whispers hinted at acts no one could forget. Legend says the bride and groom joined thrice, each union a secret, carried in whispers. The first for love, or what resembled it. The second for politics, sealing alliances with flesh. The third no one truly knew, but everyone speculated. Servants claimed to hear soft laughter and muted cries. Music from distant halls drifted through open windows. Even the Duke's attendants spoke of awe and fear. By morning, tales would circulate like wildfire, and Rome would marvel at Lucrezia's legendary night. Some historians debate the truth of the story. Yet the myth endured, growing with every retelling. Whether ritual, desire, or spectacle, it became immortal. And in the annals of Europe, her night was unforgettable. The Borgia name would echo through scandal and legend alike. In the darkness, every touch carried meaning. The first union whispered of political power. It was a bond of strategy and allegiance. The Duke and Lucrezia moved as though rehearsed. Every glance measured, every gesture deliberate. The second union leaned toward the personal. Here, desire and fear intertwined carefully. Private chambers held both passion and calculation. It was intimacy performed under history's gaze, a union of flesh, but guided by duty. The third union hinted at something divine. Blessings, superstition, and the church's shadow lingered. Some claimed ritual, others whispered superstition. It was fertility, legitimacy, and destiny combined. Even the smallest candle seemed to hold power. Each act, whether political, personal, or sacred, was more than marriage, it was spectacle. A lesson in dominance, desire, and devotion. And those present understood, every union carried weight. No detail of the night was ever forgotten. Through it all, Lucrezia remained poised and radiant. She embodied all three: strategy, love, divinity. The myth of the night began to take shape, and the Borgia legacy etched itself deeper. History would remember her not just as bride, but legend. Whispers in the chambers suggested deeper purpose. This night was not only private pleasure, it was a statement, carefully staged, deliberate. Every act, every touch, a symbol of power. Fertility was proof, legitimacy was the goal. Courtiers spoke in hushed tones of the meaning. Observers claimed the rituals were ancient, almost sacred. The Duke and Lucrezia performed roles expected of them. Each movement, a declaration to all of Italy. The marriage was a play, and the audience silent. Some historians argue it was theatrical, symbolic. The consummation displayed strength, continuity, and dynastic stability. Lucrezia's poise transformed scandal into demonstration. She carried both innocence and authority in her gaze. Every gesture spoke louder than words or vows. The candles burned down slowly, illuminating intention. Silks rustled like soft thunder through the room. The ritual merged duty with spectacle and desire, and even the most skeptical could not ignore it. Rome watched, recorded, and whispered, capturing legend alive. By night's end, the performance became myth. Fertility, power, and legitimacy intertwined visibly, memorably. Lucrezia had played her part perfectly, again, and through her, the Borgias' dominance seemed eternal. History would never forget the night's calculated grandeur. Even amid splendor, fear lingered like shadow. Some claimed the knights held crueler purposes. Whispers spoke of humiliation veiled as ceremony. Every guest wondered what power hid beneath silk. The Borgias were masters of both beauty and terror. Rumors suggested subtle manipulations, carefully executed. Lucrezia moved like a goddess, yet watched. Every glance, every gesture could serve strategy. Courtiers feared her knowledge of secrets untold. Even those closest questioned what had truly occurred. Some said hidden rituals shaped the proceedings. Symbols and actions performed beyond public understanding. Fertility and legitimacy may have cloaked darker intent. The night's meaning was layered, visible and invisible. Few could decipher the full measure of design. The Duke remained poised, yet tension never left him. Guests whispered, glanced, and measured each subtle motion. Power was displayed not only in gold, but control. Every heart present beat with awe and fear. And the story grew darker with each retelling. Lucrezia's role was both victim and performer. Manipulation and majesty intertwined in every step. Some feared her, some adored her, all watched. The legend of the night became legend of shadow. Rome would speak of the wedding in hushed awe. Dawn broke over Ferrara's gilded rooftops. The city awoke to whispered tales. Stories spread faster than any official announcement. Lucrezia's night became legend before sunrise. Every noble, merchant, and servant told the tale. Rome buzzed with rumor, intrigue, and awe. Was it desire, power, or ritual that ruled? Whichever it was, the story would endure. Poets wrote verses, chroniclers recorded, gossip amplified. And every detail, true or imagined, mattered. The Borgia name grew taller in the telling. Lucrezia's beauty, strategy, and audacity were immortalized. Each retelling added mystery, danger, and grandeur. The wedding transcended ceremony. It became myth, a night remembered long after silk was folded. Even history itself seemed to pause, attentive. Europe would recall the bride who captivated Rome. Her legacy became legend, woven into palace walls. Every whisper, rumor, and tale fueled her story. And the siren of the Borgias smiled silently. By dawn, nothing remained ordinary or forgotten. The night's acts became symbols, stories, and warnings. Power, beauty, and ambition were inseparable now. Rome had witnessed not merely a marriage, but legend. And the myth of three unions would never fade. News traveled faster than couriers could ride. Venice buzzed with tales of the wedding. Florence whispered rumors over wine and candles. Every court debated the Borgia daughter's actions. Stories of three unions became legend almost immediately. Some spoke in fear, others in awe. The Pope's power was questioned quietly, yet widely. Every city wondered what the Borgias would attempt next. Whispers turned into letters, letters into gossip. And each retelling made Lucrezia's story larger than life. The scandal became a spectacle across the peninsula. Even distant nobles studied the consequences with care. No one could ignore Rome's most infamous family. Lucrezia's name echoed in halls far beyond Ferrara. The myth of the night out shone the marriage itself. Italy trembled under the weight of whispers. Stories grew sharper, darker, more dramatic. The Borgia legacy, scandal, strategy, and power was cemented in every conversation and cautionary tale. And Lucrezia emerged at the center of it all. Lucrezia's beauty captivated courts across Italy. Yet admiration came wrapped in caution. She was an icon of allure and influence, but also a pawn in her family's schemes. Power moved through her, both gift and burden. The Pope used her as a symbol. Alliances, favors, and dominion flowed through her. Every marriage, every glance, every gesture measured strategy. Lucrezia's life became entwined with ambition, and innocence was often lost beneath gold and silk. Courts whispered that she commanded respect unwillingly. Some feared her, others coveted her favor. Yet always, her choices were circumscribed by family. Her fame and misfortune were inseparable threads. She embodied both admiration and tragic exploitation. Despite manipulation, Lucrezia grew resilient, calculating, graceful. She learned the language of power silently. Beauty became armor, intelligence became her shield. Even whispers of scandal could not weaken her. The Borgias' ambitions made her both legend and cautionary tale, and so she walked between love and obligation. A duchess by marriage, a figure by notoriety, Rome's most infamous family had forged their daughter into icon, instrument, and survivor all at once. The legacy of power, desire, and survival was hers. Alfonso watched Lucrezia with both awe and caution. He admired her beauty, intelligence, and grace. Yet whispers of scandal haunted every glance. Could he trust the daughter of the Borgias? Love mingled with fear, inseparable and uneasy. The court reminded him constantly of her past. Rumors of poison, intrigue, and betrayal lingered. Even gestures of affection felt calculated, measured. Alfonso knew marrying Lucrezia was both privilege and peril. Every decision could alter alliances, fortunes, and reputation. Yet he saw her courage and sharp mind, a woman shaped by danger, yet unbroken. He began to respect her, quietly, cautiously. Her strength became both challenge and reassurance. The husband feared what he could not control. In private, affection grew beneath wary eyes. Moments of tenderness were fragile yet real. Alfonso realized Lucrezia was more than myth or rumor. She was alive, complex, and unyielding. Love and fear danced together in their union. By navigating suspicion and loyalty, he learned. Marriage was not just vows, but survival and trust. And Lucrezia, always poised, taught patience and power. In her, he found partner, rival, and enigma. The Borgia legacy now intertwined with the Este name. Despite scandal, Lucrezia mastered her new role. Ferrara watched her navigate court with ease. She learned diplomacy, strategy, and subtle influence. Every decision reflected intelligence and quiet authority. Even skeptics could not deny her growing power. She managed estates, finances, and noble alliances. Her household ran with efficiency and dignity. Lucrezia transformed suspicion into respect over time. Every act of competence strengthened her position. The duchy thrived under her careful attention. Alfonso began to trust her judgment completely. He saw the strength others overlooked in fear. Together, they balanced ambition with prudence and grace. She became partner, advisor, and indispensable ally. The court slowly recognized her capability and poise. Even Rome whispered of her surprising success. The Borgia daughter had exceeded every expectation. Her marriage was no longer merely tolerated. It was a testament to her skill, intelligence, and resolve. Lucrezia had turned scandal into authority, gracefully, by mastering both danger and opportunity simultaneously. She became a model of power and resilience. What others feared, she controlled and commanded. And the woman once mocked now wielded quiet respect. History remembered not only her beauty, but her brilliance, once whispered about in scandal and doubt. Lucrezia now commanded admiration and authority. Courtiers who mocked her learned to defer. Her elegance, intelligence, and resolve earned respect. Even critics could not ignore her quiet power. The Duchess moved through Ferrara with confidence. Every decision she made reinforced her stature, no longer simply a Borgia pawn. She became partner, advisor, and formidable presence. Her past scandals faded beneath competence and grace. Alfonso grew proud of his wife's wisdom. Together, they balanced ambition, politics, and loyalty. Lucrezia had turned every obstacle into strength. The woman once feared was now trusted. Her legend became one of skill and survival. Italy watched as her reputation transformed slowly, from scandalous bride to respected Duchess Supreme. Whispers of doubt gave way to cautious admiration. Her beauty remained, but brilliance now led the way. The Borgia siren had finally become sovereign in influence by mastering perception, politics, and her own fate. Lucrezia reshaped history quietly, yet irrevocably. What began as scandal became legacy, and the woman they mocked had finally triumphed. The Duchess they respected was, above all, unstoppable. Lucrezia entered Ferrara with caution and poise. Her reputation preceded her like a shadowed veil. She chose to rebuild, not fight her legacy. Art, charity, and diplomacy became her instruments. Every act was deliberate, elegant, and calculated. She funded schools, hospitals, and places of learning. Nobles saw a duchess who cared, not schemed. Citizens began whispering admiration instead of scandal. Her image transformed slowly, yet irrevocably. Even former critics softened in quiet respect. Palaces adorned with paintings celebrated culture over intrigue. Music echoed through halls once filled with gossip. Every gift she gave reflected taste and subtlety. Lucrezia's grace became a shield and declaration. The world began seeing the Borgia differently. Her beauty remained, but wisdom now led her. Every gesture conveyed power, refinement, and tact. The Duchess was no longer merely a legend. She became an architect of reputation and influence. And Ferrara thrived under her serene authority. Lucrezia welcomed artists into her gilded halls. Poets composed verses praising her elegance and wit. Painters captured her lightness, beauty, and poise. Scandal faded beneath brushstrokes and careful words. Every commission was a statement of cultivated influence. Her patronage elevated Ferrara's culture to prominence. Music, theatre, and poetry flourished under her care. She transformed perception, from Borgia seductress to duchess. Art became diplomacy, creativity became power. Even former skeptics could not deny her impact. Writers praised her intellect, charm, and grace. She curated salons filled with conversation and learning. Every gathering reinforced her authority and refinement. Scandal became history. Culture became her weapon. Lucrezia's legacy was now written in art and ink, through poetry and painting. She reshaped memory. Her name no longer only whispered in fear. Instead, it was celebrated for vision and patronage. The Duchess of Ferrara redefined influence subtly, brilliantly. And Italy began to remember her differently, with respect. The palace, once rife with whispers, transformed completely. Marble halls now echoed music and learned debate. Silks and tapestries showcased art, not intrigue. Courtiers and citizens marveled at elegance, not scandal. Even corridors whispered of beauty, wisdom, and refinement. Lucrezia hosted philosophers, poets, and musicians alike. Each room became a sanctuary of intellect and taste. No poison lingered behind gilded doors or chandeliers. Instead, knowledge, culture, and artistry filled the spaces. The palace reflected her mind, disciplined, luminous, commanding. Her presence alone shaped tone and conversation. Debates flourished, ideas spread, and creativity thrived. Even visiting nobility respected Ferrara's cultured atmosphere. A duchess of scandal had built a haven, and the world began to see her differently. The Borgia daughter had rewritten expectations subtly. Her legacy now measured by refinement and patronage. Every corner of the palace spoke of transformation. Power and grace replaced fear and suspicion entirely. Lucrezia's home became a symbol of intellect and vision, once whispered about, judged, and condemned. Lucrezia now embodied measured grace and morality. Her actions turned reputation into example, not scandal. Virtue became a performance of wisdom and diplomacy. Every gesture demonstrated restraint, intelligence, and poise. Charity flowed through her hands to those in need. She visited hospitals, schools, and humble homes. Even former detractors could not deny her integrity. Sin once written on her name faded gradually. Respect and admiration replaced whispers of wrongdoing. She guided Ferrara with insight and subtle authority. Decisions reflected fairness, tact, and strategic care. Courts watched as scandal became a distant memory. Every choice showcased intellect, honor, and compassion. Virtue was now defined by action, not perception. Her legacy shifted, from Borgia seductress to leader. Beauty, influence, and intellect combined into undeniable force. History would remember her not for sin alone. She redefined what it meant to wield power gracefully. Lucrezia transformed from infamous to exemplary, subtly, brilliantly. Even in portraits, Lucrezia's gaze captivated viewers. Eyes reflected intelligence, grace, and quiet strength. Yet hints of scandal lingered in shadows. A private history whispered behind every glance. Those who looked closely sensed stories untold. Her smile was serene, composed, and polite. But eyes hinted at memory, intrigue, and mystery. The infamous night remained alive, hidden in subtlety. A secret kept behind silk, jewels, and diplomacy. No portrait could capture both beauty and enigma fully. Courtiers and artists noticed something beyond appearances. Power, experience, and shadow lived in her stare. It reminded all, even in reinvention, the past endures. Scandal shaped her, but never defined her completely. History saw both duchess and survivor in her reflection. Through eyes alone, her story was partly told. Intelligence, charm, and secrets shimmered beneath calm exterior. The Borgia siren became a duchess of legend, yet even legend can carry memory of sin. Lucrezia remained unforgettable, beautiful, powerful, and secretive. Centuries later, the story still captivates. Scholars pore over letters, chronicles, and diaries. Some claim legend, some insist truth hides beneath. The night of three unions remains shrouded in mystery. Every source tells a different version of events. Documents conflict, memories fade, and bias clouds judgment. Some emphasize scandal, others political intrigue and strategy. Lucrezia's actions are interpreted in countless ways. Even Vatican records hold fragments, carefully worded. History struggles to separate myth from reality, yet fascination persists across time and culture. Italy, Europe, and the world remain intrigued. Every debate reflects fascination with power and beauty. The Borgias legend refuses to be simplified, and Lucrezia's life continues to challenge historians' assumptions. Even today, curiosity drives study and speculation. Her story embodies the tension between fact and fable. Scholars uncover evidence, yet mysteries remain vivid. The infamous night lives on in memory and myth. History keeps asking, what truly occurred behind closed doors? The night may have been carefully staged. Every act could signal power, not desire. Lucrezia moved through ritual with practiced grace. Observers questioned whether intimacy was real or performance. Was scandal orchestrated to impress or intimidate? Some argue the unions were symbolic displays. Political alliances strengthened through subtle gestures alone. Courts interpreted action as both warning and lesson. Personal feelings may have been secondary, concealed entirely. Humiliation, if present, was perhaps part of strategy. The Borgias excelled at theatre and perception. Luxury and intimacy became tools of authority. Every detail sent messages across Italy's courts. Spectacle and politics often intertwined, indistinguishable and deliberate. No one could trust appearances, yet all watched closely. Even modern historians debate motive and intent. Was Lucrezia victim, instrument, or willing participant? Perhaps all, perhaps none. The truth remains layered. Political theatre, personal humiliation, or ritual intertwined seamlessly. The night defied simple explanation. Legend persists. Pope Alexander VI ruled with power and cunning. His enemies sought to weaken him through scandal. Lucrezia became a symbol, intentionally or not. Every rumor about her knight reached far and wide. Whispers of incest, poison, and manipulation flourished. Political rivals used stories as weapons of defamation. Letters, pamphlets, and gossip spread across courts. Even small exaggerations became sensationalized, believed widely. The Pope's opponents painted the Borgias as dangerous. Every act, private or public, became ammunition. Lucrezia's reputation suffered, regardless of truth or context. She became an instrument in battles for influence. Yet power remained firmly in her father's hands. Enemies succeeded in spreading fear, suspicion, and mistrust. The knight's story became as much politics as passion. Even modern scholars note exaggerations' role clearly. Propaganda amplified legend, shadowed reality, and shaped memory. Truth was often distorted by ambition and rivalry. The Borgias' enemies weaponized narrative as artful strategy, and Lucrezia's infamous knight became inseparable from politics. History, once fueled by rumor, now clarifies. Modern scholars sift through documents and correspondence. The infamous knight held ritual and symbolism primarily. Erotic exaggerations often masked political and dynastic statements. Every action conveyed power, legitimacy, and alliance. Consummation was not simply passion or indulgence. It reflected authority, dynastic strategy, and cultural expectation. Lucrezia embodied multiple roles in that single night. Bride, instrument, and symbol of Borgia dominance intertwined. History's truth emphasizes intent over sensationalized act. Art, letters, and chronicles illuminate meaning carefully. The knight signaled fertility, loyalty, and calculated influence. Symbolism outweighed scandal, her historical significance eventually. Every gesture, glance, and union carried deliberate message. Myth overshadowed fact, but evidence now paints. Even today, interpretation requires context, study, and care. Scandal drew attention, but symbolism shaped legacy. Lucrezia's actions were far more sophisticated than believed. Political theatre, dynastic ambition, and personal duty combined. The knight endures as emblem of Renaissance complexity. The tale of Lucrezia transcended scandal completely. It captured the essence of Renaissance Italy. Beauty, power, and ambition intertwined in her story. Vice and virtue danced together, inseparable and vivid. Every act reflected the era's complexity and daring. Courts, artists, and historians studied her life. The Knight of Three Unions became emblematic legend. It symbolized fascination with desire, politics, and influence. Lucrezia's story mirrored the age itself, bold and brilliant. Every whispered tale carried lessons, warnings, and inspiration. The Renaissance thrived on spectacle, intellect, and power. Lucrezia embodied all: seductive, strategic, and cultured. Her life became myth, then history, then inspiration. She walked between darkness and light, sin and virtue. And Europe remembered both the woman and the legend. Even centuries later, fascination endures unwaveringly. Her story teaches about ambition, caution, and resilience. Scandal and strategy coexisted in a brilliant balance. Lucrezia became symbol, survivor, an emblem of her time. The Borgia daughter transformed history, forever beautiful and unforged. The Borgia's power crumbled across Italy slowly. Rome remembered intrigue, scandal, and deadly ambition. Yet Lucrezia endured, graceful amid chaos and ruin. She outlived both her father and brother. Their fall could not erase her quiet survival. History noted the dynasty's dramatic decline carefully. Enemies rejoiced, allies scattered, yet she remained intact. Ferrara became her refuge, shielded from turmoil outside. Every loss strengthened her understanding of life and power. Even amidst ruin, she retained poise, dignity, and composure. Her name survived, carried by both awe and fear. She navigated history's collapse with intelligence and restraint. The Borgia legacy faded, but she endured brilliantly. Time tested her, yet she adapted gracefully always. Her survival became a quiet testament to resilience. Lucrezia lived with memories of loss and scandal. Her beauty remained, but her spirit carried sorrow. Faith became her refuge amid life's turbulence. She sought solace in prayer, reflection, and study. Quiet days replaced the noise of courtly intrigue. Time brought perspective and the weight of wisdom. She grieved her family's violence and early deaths. Yet she embraced charity, devotion, and contemplative life. Every act reflected humility, resilience, and learned grace. Her reputation softened, tempered by experience and reflection. Even amidst quiet, whispers of her past lingered. Scandal had shaped her, yet could not define entirely. Her search for peace became both personal and symbolic. Lucrezia navigated grief, faith, and legacy simultaneously. The Duchess found strength in reflection and patience. Her later years became testaments to endurance and dignity. Time could not erase scandal, but it softened judgment. History remembered not just rumors, but her wisdom. She embodied quiet power, humility, and survival fully. And Ferrara witnessed the transformation of a legendary Borgia, once feared and whispered about in scandal. Lucrezia's story transformed over decades gradually. Courts remembered beauty, allure, and whispered rumors. But time revealed endurance, courage, and wisdom. The Borgia siren became a figure of respect. Portraits softened her once infamous gaze deliberately. Chroniclers highlighted her resilience over past scandal. The woman who lived through betrayal became legend. Temptress gave way to survivor in history's eyes. Every act reflected dignity, strength, and quiet influence. Society shifted, and perceptions slowly followed. Her former notoriety faded beneath life's trials. Public memory embraced perseverance, intellect, and grace. Even detractors acknowledged her resourcefulness and poise. Time rewrote the narrative, blending myth with reverence. Painters captured Lucrezia's beauty and commanding presence. Brushstrokes told stories that words could not convey. Sculptors immortalized strength, poise, and quiet authority. Art transformed scandal into enduring narrative of power. She became emblem of dignity, intelligence, and resilience. Salons celebrated her influence and cultural patronage widely. Artists praised her taste, refinement, and subtlety. Every portrait spoke of a woman who endured. The Duchess transcended scandal to become symbolic figure. Her image reflected both elegance and inner fortitude. Even centuries later, her likeness evokes admiration. Observers sense intelligence, grace, and unspoken history. She inspired poets, historians, and chroniclers alike. Art ensured her story outlived fear and rumor. The Borgia daughter became an eye of forbidden strength. Through portraits, sculptures, and poetry, she survived. Scandal faded, legacy endured in timeless visual testament. Every detail immortalized resilience and quiet authority. Lucrezia's life became legend, encoded in marble and canvas. Her power and story reached far beyond her time. Lucrezia's name echoed beyond scandal and fear. Artists, poets, and historians immortalized her story. Marble statues reflected strength, beauty, and dignity. Ink captured both myth and subtle reality. Every depiction celebrated resilience, intelligence, and survival. Courts and scholars marveled at her enduring legacy. She outlasted enemies, rivals, and whispered rumors. Time transformed infamy into admiration and legend. The woman once mocked now commanded historical reverence. Even centuries later, her story inspired fascination and awe. From scandalous bride to cultural and political icon, Lucrezia became a symbol of courage and endurance. Her life, etched in art and chronicled forever. reminded the world of power, grace, and survival. The Borgia daughter transcended history, scandal, and mortality. Legend endured, shaped by memory, art, and time. Her story reminds us of beauty and consequence. She conquered fear, rumor, and history itself. The woman cursed by scandal became immortalized fully. Lucrezia Borgia remains unforgettable, both powerful and eternal. The halls of Ferrara now echo music, shadows of past intrigue linger among marble. History recalls fascination more than actual truth. One wedding night blurred politics and passion forever. Lucrezia's story mirrors power, rumor, and desire. Courts whispered, chroniclers recorded, legends endured patiently. Beauty, scandal, and strategy intertwined across decades. Her life remains emblem of cunning and resilience. Every glance, gesture, and word carried significance. The Borgia daughter shaped history with elegance. Power wore the mask of seduction subtly. Influence and ambition hid behind whispered rumors. Even enemies could not deny her intelligence. Her legacy balances myth, mastery, and survival. The world remembers both sin and formidable strength. Final line: in the world of the Borgias, sighing was not a weakness, it was a weapon.